we'll just fill for a minute and then get started. And by fill for a minute, apparently I mean make gross bodily function sounds. Ugh.
Well, I
Excuse
mean,
me.
you gotta do what you gotta do.
See, I was thinking, gotta do what you're good at.
No, I mean you can, but it's not a strict requirement.
Or are you saying I'm not good at gross bodily function sounds? Ugh.
I mean, you could be
I think you're a
better.
born natural.
Oh, thanks. I think, buddy.
Like he wasn't born in a test tube; he was born natural. That's oddly personal.
Mike knows that telling me I'm gross is a weight to my heart. Lord. Wow, Disco Elysium is on sale for $10. It's a shame I don't have time to play that, or I would buy that because that's isn't it a $40 game? It is a $40 game.
Oh,
I have no idea what that is. Disco?
Uh,
Is it like Dance Dance Revolution or
no, it is a
I'm
weird
being
um RPG, but not a JRPG.
called Disco.
Disco Elysium.
Okay. Never heard of it.
Yeah, that does not surprise me. Is it on sale on Humble? It's not even on Humble, so never mind. I was gonna be like, ooh, Alchemist is gonna pick it up. I'll give him my Humble link. It's not. Never mind. It's weird that it's not even for sale there. Wow. It's on Steam and GOG only. Huh. Okay, anyway. Oh, well, that's 2 minutes of filling. Okay, so we're good. Here we go. Ow, jam. Hello, everyone, and welcome to the Mana Pool. This is, unless we change our mind later, episode 663 of the Mana Pool. And I am Chewy. And to get into the mood, I have a Tootsie Pop. It's actually not to get into the mood. I've just got a lot of Tootsie Pops, so I've been working my way through them. So, hey, other dorks, you're here. Who are you?
Hey, I'm Brian, and this is my horribly offensive Transylvanian now act. Wow, that didn't work at all. Dang it.
No.
Hey, I'm Brian. I'm the lead Rambler Tangent Master of the group, and Halloween is maybe not my favorite holiday. It's hard to compete with Christmas when A, I like presents, and B, my birthday is 3 days later. But Halloween is definitely top three. Yeah.
I'm Mike. I'm Mike. I'm the rules guy and the game lore guy. And speaking of Christmas, I think the closest piece of candy to me right now are is some mini candy canes that are still left over from Christmas. They're
Wow,
fine.
dude.
They're in little individual wrappers. But yeah, they're candy, but they don't exactly scream Halloween. So I guess I got to find
He
something else.
screamed something. Um, if they scream when you open them up, leave them alone.
Well, I'm Dirk, the self-proclaimed greenest man alive and moral compass of the group. And I enjoy fall. Halloween's part of fall. So yeah, it's good. I like it. And unfortunately, the nearest candy I have is unfortunately eaten and in my belly. And it was a Reese's.
I guess if that was the thing that I didn't pick up on and I was supposed to do, I already had dessert and it was an ice cream sandwich, so it was delicious. But I don't have any candy up here with me.
Oh, all right then. I was trying to figure out where ice cream sandwich came in. So in case you can't tell, we're talking about Halloween this episode because it was either talk about Halloween or dive into Neverending Preview Season freaking yet again, and I just don't have it in me yet.
Yeah, it can wait.
Yeah, I mean, whatever. So
And it just started today. Like not that Never Ending Preview Season ever stopped, but the latest episode, the late episode,
all right, never mind.
the
So Halloween.
Halloween. This is Halloween.
It is.
Everybody make a scene.
So Halloween for I don't know if Halloween is a worldwide thing or what.
Um,
Like
it's a thing in some areas of Europe because I think it's like a Celtic thing originally.
You're a Celtic thing.
yeah,
Actually,
he
you're
is.
you're not at all, are you?
I don't know. Maybe.
So yeah, Halloween or All Hallows Eve is October 31st here in the States and in the places that do it. And it's a celebration of all things spooky. And yeah. Halloween has long been my favorite time of year. But I also hate Christmas.
It's funny. People I talk to, Halloween can be a bit divisive in that some people really like it, and some people think it's just okay. And then there's people that just don't care for it at all. And I don't mean like, necessarily, oh, it's evil or, it celebrates evil. I just mean people that just really don't care for it. So it tends to be a bit divisive.
Brian's definition of divisive is that some people like it, some people don't, and some people don't care.
Dang it! Maybe I concede the point. I definitely use the word divisive too much these days. I wonder why that would be.
Oh, I don't know. Nowadays, that's enough to get people yelling at each other over certain things. So who knows?
I think I'm gonna have to mute Brian on this call for part of the show.
Okay.
So, a tradition around here. Now, it was asked in the Discord. What did Kim say? Hang on. Is there a tradition for Halloween that's local to NC or kind of local or whatever? And he said he was listening to a podcast the other day that were saying that in St. Louis there's the requirement that you tell a joke. I don't know. That's all he said. So I don't know what that means. Like when you're trick or treating. Maybe? I don't know.
Maybe to get candy. I lived in St. Louis, and I never heard that. But I also lived there for 10 months. So
was Halloween one of them?
Yeah.
How old were you?
13.
Oh. So it could be that whatever podcast he was listening to was full of crap, or it could be that you just didn't deal with that.
Yeah, or whatever
Maybe
was like specific to a certain neighborhood.
Yeah,
Possibly.
yeah. It's kind of a big city. We lived in the suburbs. So, yeah.
But like as far as I know, we don't have any sort of local traditions around here other than just the usual things.
But it's an interesting idea, concept because I know so growing up for me, and I think this is still the case here as far as I've always seen, but you trick or treated on Halloween, and you might go, well, yeah, duh. But first time I ever went to my wife's family around Halloween, they always trick or treat, and they live in a different part of the country, but they always every year do trick or treating the Friday before Halloween, so that kids and school and all that good stuff, it's not disrupted or whatever. And as a parent, I get it, but part of me was like, that's sacrilege because it's not Halloween, So as a parent, I think I get it more as a parent. but there's still a little part of me that's like that's just not how I've always done it. So, but different places do have different takes on that sort of thing.
Yeah, it seems like when I was a kid, we always trick or treated on Halloween, regardless of what day of the week it was.
Hmm.
But I, I actually have no memory at all. I just seem to remember having to trick or treat and then come home and eat a little bit of candy and then go to bed because I had school the next day.
Yeah, yeah. When my brother and I were still young enough to go trick or treating, it would just always be the the evening of. I remember there were some years when like there was some confusion in the neighborhood because like Halloween fell on a Sunday, and there were some people who were like, "Oh, maybe we should move it to Saturday," and other people were like, "No, that's not Halloween." And there wasn't like a HOA or any other neighborhood governance group, so most people ended up trick or treating on the day.
Hmm. Alchemist in the chat says trick or treating is always on the day of Halloween, unless it's a Sunday because Mormons, because Utah,
Mm.
which is not a real place, because four-letter states aren't real.
Mm.
Oh, and it says even then, lots of people still do it on actual Halloween. Ha!
I grew up in Ohio. Are you saying I didn't grow up in a real place?
That is
Because
exactly what I'm saying.
I need to go and rethink my life. You might want to mute me for a while.
That's divisive.
Anybody ever go to like Halloween parties or anything? Because I remember that my family would occasionally, we would do the trick or treating, but in some of the neighborhoods we have lived in, and we've lived in a couple, we have not stayed in the same place for most of our lives. Uh, there was usually one house that was kind of decked out and did like the bobbing for apples and that sort of stuff. Anybody live in a neighborhood where there was a house or two that kind of just all the adults did that sort of thing?
Nah.
Yeah, our neighbor across the street, they were out like at the old house. They would play Hocus Pocus on a screen out front, and they had, I guess, family and people come over, and
Oh, cool.
everyone was trick or treating, and then they were watching Hocus Pocus on the big screen on the front or in the driveway.
That's
I
pretty
could
cool.
dig that. Is this the house you lived in until recently?
Yes.
Yeah, yeah. I like Hocus Pocus. The sequel I watched last week, and I don't hate it, but it doesn't really hold a black candle to the original. Aha.
As someone who has no opinion on the original, the sequel was exactly the same for me. Like, I was like, oh yeah, that was good when it was over. Last year, Amanda forced me to watch. Last year, whenever it was, some year in the last three or so years since I've met Amanda, she forced me to watch Hocus Pocus one year, and if I had ever seen it, it was just once.
Mm-hmm.
And then when it was over, I was like, yeah, all right, that was cute. And then when I went to see Megan and Casey, I got there on the day that Hocus Pocus 2 came out. So we watched it the next night. And when it was over, I was like, yeah, all right, that was cute.
Yeah, it was entertaining.
Yeah. I did appreciate that they got the same actors, like, well, the
Yeah.
three sisters, but also the dead guy, was also the same actor. And that made me
Oh,
happy.
was he the same actor?
Yeah.
Okay. Although I do find it funny looking back now that the character's name is William Butcher, which is the same character as one of the lead characters on The Boys, which is not at all the same, age appropriateness. So just a little like,
His name is Billy Butcher, really?
yeah,
Huh.
Winifred's ex-lover. That
What? No, I meant
you
on the
know,
boys.
yeah, Billy Butcher.
Huh.
Yeah,
I have yet to watch the boys because meh.
yeah, that's fine. But it's kind of funny to picture him in that role. The movie would have been very different.
Very different.
Although his mouth was sewn up for most of it, so. But once it got unsewn, he would have had a couple words for Winnie. But
Yeah,
um, yeah, there's in my neighborhood, the neighborhood we live in now is a very good neighborhood for trick or treating. It's fairly big, but it's kind of self-contained. Like there's only the one entrance and exit, so you don't have like tons of like other neighborhoods connecting or anything. And there are several cul-de-sacs, and there is one where I know we were walking around a couple of years ago, and they were playing one of the Hotel Transylvania movies on a big screen. So, and
nice.
then some of the other houses like get together, especially with years where it's really cold, and they'll like set up a fire pit or something. So not everybody is freezing.
Yeah, my neighborhood growing up was another of those where there was only one entrance, and that's just where I trick or treated. Like I would put on my costume and we would just make a lap around the neighborhood because it was,
Hmm.
let's see, there was the one main street and then one, two, three. Well, branching off of the main street was one, two, three, four other streets, one of which went straight into a cul-de-sac. So like it was a solid night's work to hit the entire neighborhood and get all of the stuff.
Hmm.
And there was always one house. It was Candy's house. I guess it was her dad. I don't know. There was always someone at Candy's house with a chainsaw with the chain taken off, who and a mask, who was running around outside scaring people.
Mm.
So
Um,
that was fun.
I I believe he moved, but there was somebody in Carrie's family's general area. He was like a township over or something. So not the same neighborhood, not even like the same, you know how some people carpool to different neighborhoods where like, hey, you know, people go to this neighborhood because they do really good candy or whatever. This guy lived a little bit away. Um, but it was understood people would go to his neighborhood and his house because he was one of those guys. I think he was a doctor and he went all out. I think they said he moved a couple years ago, but I went to his place one time and holy cow, think of the most over the top like individual house in your neighborhood times a doctor's salary. And clearly he lived for this sort of thing, and all the more power to him because people came from forever, from a long way away. I hope the neighbors were okay with it. I don't think they even really tried to compare. Probably a good idea, but holy cow, it was really something. And he would come out himself. He wouldn't just like hide in a corner and he'd be giving candy out to everybody. But he really got into it, very much so. I like Halloween decorations, and I have some in the garage. And some years I'm more into it, and some years I'm just, and I said this, I'm just too tired, and I'm a little like I have to put it up and then take it down, and you know. But I again, I like the holiday, so
So when you guys were kids, were you primarily trick or treaters?
primarily trick or
Yes.
treaters. Yes.
Nice.
Mom
Yeah.
has pics. Mom had pictures of me. I don't know if she still does. You know, from basically toddler on up in various costumes. I think one of my first costumes was a tiger costume, and tigers have always, and to this day, but have always, ever since I could formulate the words, been my favorite animal. So I find, and I think I talked about this actually on a podcast episode where we were talking about creature types and maybe monsters in general. But I've always been drawn more toward vampires just because they have some of the neat characteristics of other monsters. They're spooky and they can move through shadows and stuff, but they're not bestial like werewolves, and they're not like kind of Frankenstein's monster in media is portrayed as being kind of dumb and hulking and all that. They were suave, and they could do all sorts of extra stuff like turn into stuff. They are honestly a little OP. So I think I dressed up as a vampire a couple times. So probably my most prolific outfit. What did you guys dress up as? Do you have a favorite costume or one that you remember? Or one that you're not allowed to ever wear again.
I went as Freddy Krueger one year
Oh, cool.
Ooh, your mom is
because
awesome. I mean, just in general, but also to let you do that.
I mean, some neighbor had the like a sweater that was straight up Freddy, like the
Yep.
red and green stripes, you know.
Yeah. Yeah.
And I had a plastic claw, and we found a mask and I think a hat. Maybe the neighbor had the hat. I can't remember. It wasn't like a store bought costume, like in one piece. Like it was all
Mm.
piecemeal.
Uh,
You assembled it.
Yeah,
So
we assembled a Freddy costume.
cool.
One year I went as a dead soldier because one of mom's coworkers had like some camo stuff that would fit me and like a plastic rifle or something. And then I think his wife did my makeup and applied like it was like camo makeup, and I had a few big ass scars on my face. Those are the only two I remember though.
yeah, I don't remember very many either. I know when I was little, I had a really cool skeleton costume. It was basically a pajama type shirt and pants with like bones printed on them, and the bones glowed in the dark. That was cool. And the mask was, when I see photos of me wearing it, and I think, of course it got handed down to Thomas later. Like it's just like a cheap plastic mask that's like a little more creepy than one would expect for a small child's costume. I guess that's
Nice.
just how things were back in the day. Um,
Yeah.
there was one year where I assembled just a busted ass, quote unquote robot costume. Basically, I put on some of my dad's kickboxing gear and like put aluminum foil over various parts of my body. It was pretty bad. I'm surprised mom was okay with me leaving the house looking like that.
It was Halloween. It was all
Yeah,
good.
it was helping. I was a
That's
little
kind
kid.
of the.
I was a little kid. I was having fun. There was one
That's
year where I
kind of.
just like put on a baseball uniform that I already had.
I think I might have done that one year too.
Hmm.
And
Yeah.
there was one year where I just wore my karate gi straight up.
I might have done that. And when I got a little older and didn't do as much trick or treating, but would still like go to the door and give out candy, I had a cheap Phantom of the Opera mask and a cheap plastic hat that I would wear, and I did that for several years when I was just staying at home, handing out candy.
Nice.
There is a picture um, that I have acquired as blackmail of my sister when
Who is
she's
hot?
3. Wow, it's been a while. When she was 3 or 4, wearing like a just like a frilly dress and like got a wand, so it's supposed to be a fairy or something like that. And she looks pissed, just just precious. But to that, Mike, you were saying about like just what our parents would let us dress up as. Halloween is really unique in that so many of our other holidays are all like, support patriotism and veterans and labor, kind of, sort of. Don't unionize, but labor. And all these uplifting things, the light, the birth and the resurrection and all these other things. And Halloween is so fascinating in that it's really the express this darker side that you don't really ever get to do. And I mean, some people still take the opportunity to be like, well, dress up as something wholesome. I'm going to be a nurse or something you maybe aspire to, like a basketball player
Yeah, or a
or
sexy
whatever.
nuclear physicist.
Sexy nuclear. I would totally aspire to be a sexy nuclear physicist. But so you can do that, but you also have the opportunity to be a rotting corpse and to make it look as gross as possible, and people really appreciate that. It's this it's this almost celebration not only of potentially a darker side, but it's also and sometimes the villains in games are the fun person to play. I don't think I'd always want to be the villain, but to do that every now and then can express some of that. And it's also a recognition of some of the things that scare us, kind of looking it in the eye, you know what I mean? So
Hmm.
being able to acknowledge this darker aspect of our personality and of our nature. So, and yeah, it's kind of interesting that it's okay to dress up your kid like some sort of flesh eating thing. Although I imagine these days we're a lot more concerned with what kids are exposed to, and you
Well,
might get a strongly worded letter. I would hope that most people would still get this is just a holiday, but I could see some people being very uptight about,
Yeah, I don't know. And maybe it's just that the people who were going to be sticks in the muds anyway are just more likely to be vocal about it.
yeah.
Um,
I like the
but
way
yeah,
we
but it
completely missed Dirk in any of his old costumes. So we all just kept
right.
on going.
Have you
Well,
met me?
uh, one of mine was I went as Dracula when I
Okay,
was a kid
classic.
because before I started going bald, I actually had a widow's peak, and so I was able to get away with that.
I like
And
how I like how you clarified you went as Dracula as a kid before you went bald. So
yes, I just the reason why I was able to get away with it.
I got you.
Um, I had a phantom mask also back in high school, and then I think the one that I enjoyed the most was when I went as James Bond in college. And the reason
I
why I say that is because I had bought a tuxedo for prom one year, and then when I got to college, found out that when you did concert bands, you had to wear a tuxedo to the concerts. And my thought was, I'm going to actually get my money's worth out of this. And then
you
and then was like, Halloween, I could go as James Bond. I have a tuxedo.
I think you're the only person I know, except for some lawyers, but lawyers, that actually bought their tux for prom. Like everybody else rented it. So good for you for actually, getting to use it.
Well, it was I think it was a thing at the Men's Warehouse where they had a deal on tuxes around that prom time and everything, and it was $100 for a tux, just
It's
like
not bad.
the not like the cummerbund and all the extra frilly stuff, but like just the shirt and pants
Hmm.
I gotcha.
and the jacket.
Yeah, yeah. There was a shop in the town I grew up that did rentals and sales, and I got one. I bought a tux for prom for like $80. I think I got to wear it a couple more times when I was like an usher at some cousins' weddings.
Hmm.
Mike is good at
Now that
ushing.
Hmm.
now that Dirk and I have kids, we get to live vicariously through them. And Sam has been all sorts of princesses. Um, and a pirate and some of the more traditional stuff. Guess what she is going as this year? And by the time this airs, I imagine it'll probably air on Monday or Tuesday, so it may be getting close to that time or has already happened. But guess what Sam is going as for Halloween?
A pirate princess.
Be neat. She's going as a slice of bacon. We were at a consignment sale,
I
and
love your
I
kids so much.
I I I found a costume that is a slice of bacon, and your head kind of pokes through at one end, and I was like, "Hey, look at this! This is kind of funny." And I kept going, and Sam was like, "It is funny," and she held it up, and she's like, "It's my size," and I'm like, "Well, you don't have a costume yet, but it's bacon." She's like, "Yes, can I get it?" And I'm like, "Go ask your mother." And Carrie thought it was funny, but was also like bacon. I'm looking over her shoulder. I'm like, question mark? And she's like, this is my costume. And I'm like, yes, it is. And because it was a consignment, it was not like an arm and a leg. It cost a little more than a pack of bacon might usually, and won't go bad.
So,
So
Brian,
I'll
please tell me that you are going to find a costume as some scrambled eggs.
that would be hilarious.
And you
I
guys
need to
can
go
be
shopping. I'll be
breakfast
right back.
around, breakfasting around as you go trick or treating.
But I will send you specifically the dorks some pictures later. So,
That's great.
Dark, do your boys have and girl, you got that too. I got to remember. Do your kids have a costume for Monday, or
Um,
several costumes probably? Unless
yeah,
they're going as like a three-headed thing.
I think everyone's got something, but I know Leighton has one. I don't know about uh Penny and
Or
Trevor.
is your other child? Yeah, it's
Yeah,
okay.
them.
Penny
I
and
know you got a
the
lot
other one.
going on
Damn
right
it.
now. Yeah. Why do you think I stopped at one? I mean, come on. Her name. What's her face? So yeah.
Yeah.
Oh,
What have
what's her
they?
face?
What are some things that they've gone as previously?
Nothing out of the ordinary and special. I think Leighton had the best one. He went as Thomas the Tank Engine, and when I say that, all it is, it's a like a fabric thing, like a tabard, where it just sort of it goes over his shoulders, and it's just Thomas on the front, the back of a train on the back of the little thing, and he wears a conductor hat.
Nice.
And that was he went as Thomas the Tank Engine, and he was incredibly happy with that. This year he's going to go as Superman. Why? Because we've had the costume for over a year, and he still fits in it. So it's like,
Da,
It's a
da,
good
da,
reason.
da, da.
Mm-hmm.
There it was. So we were
May I
before
ask
we
one
went
other thing
back.
before?
Yeah,
May I ask
before
one
we
other
went
thing
back
before
to
we go
Dirk.
on?
What?
Okay.
What do you want?
On that topic, I was just going to ask Mike what Ashley's opinion on Halloween was, and her history
Um,
before we moved off.
that is a good question. It's not something we've discussed at length. I know she would have fun dressing up and going trick or treating as a kid, but I don't know a lot of details.
Oh, okay. All right. Sorry, Dirk. Sorry, Dirk. I'm calling you Chewy. Hey, Chewy, what were you gonna say?
So before we went back to Dirk, since Brian just skipped right over him, Brian was talking about how this time of year is different
Mm-hmm.
because it's where we celebrate the darker things and whatnot.
Yes.
Yeah, and I think it's good because because it's all in fun. It's not just dark. It's also like goofy. It's not just zombies. It's also slices of bacon. So when you do even when you do the scary stuff, it's about having fun. And when you can encourage a kid to have fun with that, and they get that everyone is in on the joke, then it's not as scary. It still is a little bit because suddenly you see someone who's like, "Oh my God, it's a vampire," but it's not a real, like, actually dangerous vampire, so it's okay.
That's what the
Did you
real,
guys?
actually dangerous vampires want you to think.
Yes,
eh,
I have
Did you
fallen
guys
into the
ever?
trap.
You have? Do you need to talk about it? Is there like a support group for vampire victims? I feel like there should be. Did you guys ever do any haunted houses like when you were a kid? Because I've done several. I haven't done many as an adult, but I did one as a kid that was at a local church, believe it or not, and they really kind of went ham on it. And I remember getting scared. I'm talking about like 7-year-old me, not like 10, 11 or older, but I remember getting scared at this haunted house. Just thinking, you mentioned like being in on it or whatever. Sometimes as a kid, when it's done really well. I've never been to, like, for example, Kersey Valley Woods. Has anybody done
Mm,
that? But
no.
I would love to, but I never have anybody around who wants to go because I'm, perpetually single.
um the for the going back to this year, somehow it keeps coming up. For that 10 months that I lived in St. Louis, they did have this thing that I think is close to what Kersey Valley does here, where it was basically some number of miles, over a mile of square mile of land that they converted every year. It was a huge production that they converted into this sprawling sort of experience where you went in, but the path diverged, and they wanted to keep you going. And you were told the actors would not touch you, but they would do pretty much everything else. And um, I believe I went with some friends in middle school, and I was old enough that I wasn't super scared, but again, they kind of went ball. They kind of went pretty all in on it. Um, chainsaw, like actual chainsaws and some other stuff. So it's pretty intense at times.
Hmm.
Yeah, I mean, you raise a good point. It's like even if you reassure a kid, oh, it's just all it's just all for fun. It's just all play. Kids, up to a certain age, still have just difficulty separating, um, reality from imagination. So, so yeah,
One of the
it's not as simple as I made it out to be earlier. And I went to a couple simple haunted houses as a kid. Um, the ones I can think of were at like school Halloween or fall festival type things.
Yeah, I
But yeah,
went to
as
one at
and
elementary school once.
yeah,
hmm.
and as young as I was, I did get freaked out. Not like bad. It didn't like stay with me for, not even for like 10 minutes, but in the moment, yikes. And also
I
I've
mean,
just been generally just kind of nervous and in, tense situations, so it gets the best of me.
I was gonna say Mike does not like to be scared, even still. So
No, it's
you
unpleasant.
you don't want to be that one guy that's walking through and something, a guy jumps out at you and it's like, yeah, and you accidentally a karate on him, and then you're in trouble.
I don't think I would do that, but it would just be just very unpleasant. Just feel bad for me.
Well, do you remember there was the one dorm on campus while we were in college that that they were housed in a fairly small housing, uh well, house is really the best, instead of like a sprawling dormitory, it was more of a house with and they put on a production every year. Did you ever go to that?
What are you talking about? Did they do that in
Mary
Mary Faust?
Faust?
Okay.
Yeah.
No, I never went over there. I heard about it, but I never checked it out.
I mean, again, they did a fairly big production. They would have you enter in groups, and you'd be in kind of the lobby, and then while you were waiting, and they would then call out the names of groups so that people were moving through systematically, and they they the common theme for a lot of what I'm talking about is you can tell the people that get really invested in this versus the guy that's like, oh, I've got a tombstone by my front door, which sometimes that's me. I'm not knocking it, but versus you know, they had to, the people that they spent hours setting this up, and lots of fake blood, and the attention to detail on a lot of the setup. And Mary Faust did that. Like, you'd walk down the hall and they would have dorm rooms open, and each this one might be like a mad scientist lab, and this one would be a surgeon doing unnecessary surgery over here, and this one's wolves and whatever. So yeah,
I
I
went
like the
to
con.
Scary Faust once, one year,
Did you?
and it seems like it was the year that it was widely agreed that it wasn't very good.
Oh,
Lucky
dang it.
me.
Hmm. The
There was
time
usually
I
that
went, it
year.
was pretty good. Yeah,
What was that, Dirk?
but
There was usually at least one year where it was, yeah, they weren't really into it that year.
I think it probably came down to who was organizing it, because
Yeah.
um I think it, as with a lot of things, you might have some people that are like, it's not their thing, and then some people are like, this is great, we're gonna go all into it. So
Yeah.
Yeah, there were a couple years. I very much enjoyed the Dante's Inferno year,
hmm.
and then
Hmm.
they had a year where it was like each room or everything was sort of like the different levels of the underworld. And there was one year I think it was just being straight a haunted house, and so they had like horror movie,
I
like
think
classic
that
horror
was
movies was the theme or something like
I
that.
I think that's what I was thinking of, but I know I went at least 2 years, so
Hmm.
hmm. Wonder if they still do it. We're old and we've been out of school for 20 years, so
Uh,
almost. So who knows? But
I don't know. I enjoyed
nah.
uh I enjoyed the year I went. Like I went with uh like a group of female friends,
Uh-huh.
and so they were all, not to be stereotypical, but they were all screaming and jumping and running around, and I was just like, whenever someone would appear out of nowhere, they would all and I'd be like, hi. But that might have just been because I was trying to, impress them with my manliness or something, whatever college
Yeah.
age Chewy did.
Yeah. I've always enjoyed, ever since I've been a kid, I always enjoyed the concept of a haunted house. And I think I always thought about like, ooh, uh, I would love to do one at some point and have, you know, like this set up here and this set up here or whatever. Um, but I didn't ever really have the initiative to follow through on that sort of thing. I think I may have done one in the basement one year and been like, Mom and Dad, look at this, it's great. Um, Trying to emulate that sort of thing, probably when I was again less than 10 years old. So it probably involved like a graveyard that may or may not have been my, you know, Lego blocks just stood up to look like gravestones or something. But I liked the concept of a haunted house, and it's really neat to see one when it's done well.
Hmm.
Yeah. Every year, like, I have seen the ads for various, haunted houses and whatnot around here, and I've been like, oh man, I really want to go. But because, like, none of my friends are into being scared, nobody ever wants to go with me. And I'm not going to go by myself. That's just sad. So, for me, not saying if you're the type of person that goes to a haunted house thing alone that you're sad, but for me, I don't go see movies alone. I don't go do things alone. I don't eat out alone. I just don't. So, it would be sad.
Well, occasionally, it's been a while, but I will occasionally see a movie on my own, especially like before Sam or when Sam was young, and there's a movie I wanted to see, and Carrie just didn't want to see it. I'm like, well, I want to see it. And I like the theater experience, so I'm gonna go. That was also the time when we had like the dollar theaters in town, so I wasn't spending, $20 to go by myself. But and I have gone to a restaurant and ordered table for one, but it doesn't feel quite right. So, mm. But I get where you're coming from. I don't seek to be scared a whole lot. I get into it a little bit more for Halloween, but it's not something that I actively seek. And I know we covered some of this when we had a discussion of scary movies and what is it about particular types of movies that we find more or less scary. I know we had that conversation, but I don't actively go looking for that sort of thing a whole lot. If I'm going to see a scary movie, it's because I think I really am going to have a good time with it, not because it's a scary movie, because hopefully it'll be a good scary movie, if that makes sense. But I get that there's an adrenaline rush, but I don't always actively. I have to be in the right mindset to be like, okay, I want to put myself in a situation where I'm probably going to get scared. Halloween's always a good excuse.
I don't know how to follow that up. It was sort of rambling. Uh,
That's me.
yeah, I still I like horror movies and games. I've been playing Doom 3 here lately on stream, which is
Nice.
a very much a horror game compared to the first two. And
I don't know that I ever played three. I played one and I played two. I don't think I ever played three. I might have to check out your stream and live vicariously through you.
That come out when we were in college.
I think so.
Okay, I played a demo of it. when I first started it up, I just my computer was getting a
Oh.
little up in age, and I just started it up on the default settings. It was like hurt, 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 and then I like fell through the floor and died. So the next time I started the demo up, I turned all the settings down to the lowest, and I was actually able to play the demo.
Yeah, it came out in 2004, so
Yeah, we were in college.
Yeah, college. Yep. Tail
Yeah.
end for me anyway.
it
Um,
and at the time it was very much like, can your rig run Doom 3? Like, it was a one of
it was a
those,
litmus test.
yeah, one of those defining, is your computer good or not.
Mhm.
Yeah. Didn't they make a new Doom game a little while ago and just call it Doom?
Yeah,
Kind
yeah,
of
that's
like,
the reason that I started the Doom franchise run, was so
yeah.
I wanted to play them all so I could play the new ones.
We might have mentioned this before. I feel like we did, but that's kind of the naming convention lately is, oh, we're making a new entry in this, but we're just giving it the original name. So like we talked about Sonic '06, or where you got to say like Doom 16 or whatever whenever it came out. So next thing you know, they'll be like Halo 23. That's probably a thing, isn't it? Oh God.
Not that any of that has anything to do with Halloween.
Nope. Nope. But you're playing
Uh
Halloween games.
yeah, like I've been playing Inscription, which isn't scary, but it is very spooky. And Doom 3, which is more of a horror game than the originals. Like, there's Dark Corridor. And I actually did have a jump scare where I climbed a ladder and I didn't have my flashlight on, and all of a sudden something made a sound and shot me from
Mhm.
point blank range because I didn't have my flashlight on. It was just standing there at the top of the ladder waiting for
Mhm.
me. That scared the crap out of me. Uh,
You some time ago you played through uh Bloodstained, right?
uh, I mean, yeah, but
Not
that's only horror in that it's got the horror trappings. It's like a Castlevania.
okay.
I mean, it is essentially a Castlevania.
Mhm.
On Halloween this year, I'm gonna play through the Mortuary Assistant, which is an actual like horror movie in game form. I think, because if I don't play it for Halloween, I'm probably just not gonna. Because so okay, I was streaming, right, and at the end of the
Right.
stream, I got a
Mhm.
notification that someone had bought me the Mortuary Assistant and sent it to me, and I was like, what? And it was Star, cute neighbor chick, former cute neighbor
Oh,
chick.
cool.
Sorry, cute former neighbor, whatever. She lives in one
I
of
was
those
gonna
places that don't exist now.
not that she's formally cute, but yeah.
Yeah, but she sent me a copy of the game because she wanted to see me stream it, and I was like, huh, I've never heard of this game. So I pulled up the store page on Steam and watched a couple of the trailers, and I was like, I really don't think I'm gonna do that. Cause buh, it was very, like I said, horror movie ish, where you're over here doing a thing and over there, just in your peripheral vision, something will walk by, and when you look up, there's nothing there, and I'm like, ah. So yeah, I
Yeah.
decided I'm gonna do that on Halloween night. Uh,
Okay.
and
Now,
then,
when you said,
oh,
go
go
ahead.
ahead.
I was gonna say, so you explained a bit when you said the mortuary's assistant, and I've never played this before, or heard of it or anything like that. I kind of almost pictured, again, the thought of like the doctor with the unnecessary surgeries or anything like, or something like that. And you said it sounds more like things, you can't quite see or whatever versus in your face. There's this interesting thing now, ever since the Saw movies and the Hostel movies, where there's been push for some horror movie genres to be less about scares as far as the traditional tropes and more torture porn. You know what I mean? A little more like,
Yeah,
let's just make
yeah,
this as gross. And for some people, I mean, Saw has an audience. People, they're up to what, like Saw 23 or something. So or
something.
7
Yeah.
or something like that.
The first one
Um,
was really good, a really good like psychological horror, but for some reason Hollywood latched onto the wrong part of that movie that made it good, and that's what the rest of the franchise is.
right.
Mm.
And it makes me
And
sad
then
because the first one was really good, and I couldn't
and
even
then
make it
it's
through the second one.
and then there are some others again like the Hostel movies where they kind of took that same concept and they're like, oh, audiences want to see gore, but they don't want just like have a psychological aspect to it. They want in your face. Let's see people's, arms getting sawed off slowly over a long period of time. And I'm like, I know someone enjoys this. It's
Mm.
not me.
Eli
So,
Roth is just a disgusting filmmaker. That's
is
the guy
he to
behind
blame for?
the Hostel movies
Okay.
and various other things that are like,
But so
He's still
just
not the German one who did House of the Dead and all that, though.
yeah, that's
no, that's Uwe Boll.
No, that's a
yeah.
text. Yeah.
Yeah.
He's disgusting for entirely different reasons.
Right. Here's like House of the Dead is not scary. If you find House of the Dead scary, I don't know what to tell you except put in more quarters. So, uh, uh yeah. Thank you for saying it out loud, Dirk, because somewhere in the back of my head was not House of the Dead, so thank you for vocalizing. But so it just goes to show you Halloween honestly covers just like scary movies in general, but Halloween covers so many broad concepts. And we talk about like you can still dress up as whatever. You don't have to go scary, but even within scary, there's the more traditional stuff, but there's also the more grotesque. And I just felt like especially with films, there was that push for a while. I'm hoping we're kind of past it of oh, more gore is better and there obviously again people liked it, there was a niche to be filled or whatever, but not every by the same token they were making so many for a while there. I think it's important to note not every film has to be that. You can still have a scary movie that doesn't have any of that in your face stuff. Sometimes the things that are scariest are the things that are just out of view, you know what I mean,
Yeah.
instead
You're
of just in your face.
as I forget who it was. Scott McCloud in Understanding Comics quoted somebody, and I don't remember who, but something like, um, killing a character off screen. It was about comics again, but killing a character off panel is damning him to a thousand deaths
Hmm.
because whoever's reading it is going to fill that in themselves.
Yeah.
And yeah, I always
Anybody have
prefer more subtle horror than just the gruesome stuff. I watched. Oh my god, I had this urge to watch something scary one day last week, so I watched
Mhm.
VHS. God
Oh yeah,
help
you
me.
told me about this.
Yeah,
I've never seen it.
don't.
Okay. I
It's a
used to
found
own a
footage.
VHS, but
It's a found footage anthology, and each one is like it was written and directed and filmed by like some sort of 15-year-old edgelord,
oh, good.
and like they're
Uh,
all gratuitous and overly gruesome and gory and other bad things that start with a G.
with a G, yeah, there's a lot. Yeah,
And like it's
gruesome.
just I didn't enjoy it. Like I was like 10 minutes in and I was like this is not for me. And yet I managed to finish the whole thing like an idiot, and I wish I hadn't. And it turns out I realized why I was so hot to watch VHS. It's because I had remembered the name of a found footage movie that people had recommended, but it was REC.
Mm.
And my brain over the years, oh, VHS, that must be it. No, it was not.
not not the same thing. So, not a horror film per se, but I saw The Village by M. Night Shyamalan, and it didn't have a great twist. And for a while, his movies had to have the twist. Maybe still, I haven't actually seen like Glass or some of the newer ones he's done. Um, The Happening just kind of killed it for me. But but The Village was not terribly well received, but I kind of liked it, and
I
it
always liked The
definitely
Village. Yeah.
it had a lot of that suspense, and again the things where um spoiler alert for like an X-year-old movie, but it's a village and it's being watched and or tormented, whatever you want to put it, by these creatures, but you don't almost ever actually just get up in your face and see any of these things. So it's more of the threat of some omnipresent thing, but it's not up in your face. And I kind of liked that. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
It was so that kind of interests me more and honestly gets to me a little bit more instead of the, blah, here's, right in your face. Um I watched an episode of Are You Afraid of the Dark as a kid, and it was the one where the kids worked at a movie theater showing Nosferatu, and the movie came to life, and that thing kept me up at night. Like I turned it off, and for nights later, I just had the image of this completely silent, arguably toothed and almost a little goofy looking, but not goofy looking enough vampire just waiting to step out of the shadows and come and get me. So,
Yeah.
but
Just
I've
favorite.
last
but
week.
I've never been scared by Chucky, for example. But go ahead. Just last week.
Yeah, just last weekend, the kid and I watched my friend Amanda's kid watched two horror movies because Amanda does not do horror movies at all whatsoever. No.
Mm.
And so I was like, "Hey, I don't have anybody to watch scary movies with. Hey, kid, you like scary movies, right? Yeah. We should watch some scary movies. Okay." So we ended up watching the two good Annabelle movies,
Mm.
which are the ones that aren't named Annabelle.
Mm.
The first one is kind of boring. Plus, the really good scare was in the damn trailer. So, but
I hate that.
we watched Annabelle Creation, which is a period piece and is very spooky. And then we watched Annabelle Comes Home, which is. It's like someone remembered that horror movies could be fun.
Mm-hmm.
So it's like a roller coaster, man. There's a ghost werewolf in it at a couple points.
Wow.
Exactly. And like there's a haunted board game. I'm not even making this up. So yeah, it's a lot of fun, but it's still spooky and has lots of good scares, but not like I don't remember
What
any
what
like horrible jump scare. I hate jump scares just because they're boring and played out.
they have been played out, and after a while, they can still be effective, but not if they're overused.
Yeah.
So, um, what was the name of this film? I haven't heard of that one.
Holy crap. I have to mute.
Did he watch it 7 days ago? Hmm. Mom has still never completely forgiven my brother. They went to go see a film, and Mom was like, "Let's watch a romantic comedy." And Jimmy was like, "All right, let's go watch The Ring. It's about an engagement, you know."
Yeah.
It was not. And but Mom was not going to spend $10 on a movie ticket and walk out. So, but she has never forgotten that.
That's pretty funny.
So, what was the movie name before you were
Annabelle
dying?
Comes Home.
That's right. That's right. I've never seen the Annabelle films. I'm not generally scared by, nor do I really look for scary films centered around dolls or creepy children or clowns. I'm not I'm not like a clown fan, but they don't scare me either. So
Good lord.
of the
Sorry, my
classic
cranberry juice tried to go down the wrong hole.
of the classic we could talk about monsters. We've done that a little bit, but I'm thinking bringing it a little bit more back to Halloween. There's the archetypal Halloween villains: Freddy Krueger, Michael Myers. The name of the movie is Halloween, after all. And Jason Voorhees slash Jason's mom, and then probably one or two I'm forgetting. Who's your favorite? I and Chewie said he dressed up as Freddy Krueger, right? And Freddy was always the most interesting to me because, the others were kind of these big hulking, and I get unstoppable forces of nature, and that can definitely be creepy. But the thought of like, don't go to sleep because Freddy will kill you in your dreams, that was what kind of got to me, and I always thought that was a little more interesting than, oh no, this guy is coming toward me slowly and gonna kill me with a machete. I get it. If I was in the horror film, I would definitely die to any of those guys. But Freddy had a special thing going on. Although they definitely made him way more campy and kind of goofy as the films went on. But so which villains are you guys drawn to, or do you have a favorite?
Not really, no.
Yeah, I didn't have any familiarity with the movies when I was growing up. One, because I didn't care as much for scary stuff, and two, there's no way mom would have let me see something like that anyway, even if I did want to. I don't think I saw
Lee.
a Friday the 13th movie until I was in college, but
Mm.
I probably preferred Jason because he looked the coolest. But
I
that's
mean,
about
I
it.
That
still
hot.
haven't ever actually watched a Friday the 13th movie or a Halloween
Mm.
movie for that matter. And I've only ever seen
I
one Nightmare movie, and it was Wes Craven's New Nightmare, which only sort of counts.
only
Slashers
sorta,
aren't my
yeah.
thing. Like, slasher movies always just seem silly to me. Which, it turns out that was the point of the later ones, was to increase the silliness, but at least the Friday the 13th movies.
Well, yeah. And like Nightmare on Elm Street, as the series went on, it's like, all right, he kills you in your dreams. How do we make that seem like more and more outrageous, and it went from being like scary to being like, we can do all this with special effects. So, here's how he kills them this way, but it gets more and more kind of ridiculous. And I agree with Mike. I think the hockey mask, for whatever reason, to me was just so much more creepy and a little more identifiable than the plain white whatever that Michael Myers has. Um, Plus,
It was a
while
William
I'm
Shatner mask.
it was. Are
Yeah,
you being
yeah, it was.
serious?
It was a paint. The
I
original
never
was a
knew
white
that.
painted William Shatner mask where the hair was messed up.
I I never knew that.
Yeah,
So
yeah.
I've seen some of these films. I have not seen them all. Um, but like your mom, Mike, mine would not have let me see a lot of these. Although after I turned 13, I was allowed to start having a little more experience with this sort of stuff. But I remember being a kid, and like there was a grocery store we would always go to, and while mom was always finishing up, I was allowed to like go through just the little video section they had, which was all of like 3 or 4 rows of films. It was not exactly blockbuster or anything, but and I remember seeing movies on there, and that was probably the most exposure I ever had to some of these movies, and seeing the box art and some of them being really evocative, like, you know, Jason Goes to Hell with the snake kind of going through the hockey mask.
Oh
So
yeah.
long before I would ever see a movie like that, I saw the box and I'm like, oh. I remember
Yeah, we
the
had a
art.
local independent video store like that too, and I loved going over and just looking at the wall of horror movies. I wasn't going to get one, but
Yeah,
I just
me
loved
too.
going over and looking at them.
I saw the box for Akira many times, and I don't think I watched Akira until I was in college, but I was like, this looks cool. Um, and I remember bugging my parents about like, this is a silly looking movie called Buffy the Vampire Slayer about a cheerleader that slays vampires. And it was not until I was older that I was allowed to watch that either. So,
God, I love that movie.
mhm. The guy who played the Watcher, he's been in so much stuff, but I can't remember his name right now. Played the old guy.
He was in. Oh damn it! He was in.
He did so much stuff.
Yeah, but specifically Donald Sutherland. There we go.
There we go.
He was in MASH. Is what my brain was trying to say.
Mm.
He
Is
was
still
Hawkeye
with
in
us?
MASH, the movie. Did you know that?
I don't think I did.
I never saw the movie.
It's good.
Good.
I think he's still with us. This doesn't have a date for not, so cool.
Oh, is he really? That's cool. Yeah.
All
Looks like it. He's 87. Wow.
Keep it up, man.
What was the other thing I was trying to think of that he was in? Invasion of the Body Snatchers. He was the main character in that.
Hmm.
Well,
He
the one
was
from the
in-
70s.
He was in that movie with the really old people being astronauts, like Tommy Lee Jones and
Space
Cowboys.
Cowboys.
Space Cowboys, but that's not a horror film. By most
Well,
people's
then his
definition.
son Keithard Sutherland was in Lost Boys.
Yeah, Kiefer was in Lost Boys.
Oh,
Which
dang it!
Freaking everybody
I'm-
loves Lost Boys. I watched it again a year or so ago, and it just does not do anything for me.
Oh, it's
But-
been forever since I've seen it.
You guys are blowing my minds with this stuff. Like the William Shatner, I never put together that they were father and son, and now I'm thinking about their faces, and I'm like, duh, of course. But I've never thought about that before.
You are so cute.
I'm so cute. I figured out a while ago that Angelina Jolie was what's his name's daughter, but for whatever reason, I just never thought the two people with the same last name were related. Jeez. John Voight.
That guy sucks. Anyway, what
Halloween.
about stuff like Halloween specials? Like everyone knows the Christmas specials, Rudolph and
Yeah.
and the
Frosty
stupid
and-
elf that wants to be a stupid dentist with the abominable snowman, which is the best part.
I enjoyed that
Frosty.
movie. I enjoyed that movie as a kid, and I tried rewatching it a while ago, and I could not get through more like 20 minutes of Rudolph. But Halloween specials.
Yeah, I can only think of one.
Which
Which one
one's
do you
that?
think of?
Really?
Which one?
The
He hasn't
one.
said yet.
Surely you guys
what-
can read my mind.
No.
The one I can think of is the Simpsons special.
Oh yeah, there's the annual Treehouse of Horror. I'd forgotten about that.
I was gonna
I think
say that
Mike
a lot
got
of
it.
a lot of TV shows will have Halloween specials, but you're thinking of an actual made-for-TV. I don't.
Yeah, it's the Great Pumpkin, Charlie Brown.
Thank you.
That's the big one.
Ah,
There was
I was trying.
there was a Garfield one that my brother and I loved. We even taped it off of TV one year and would rewatch it every now and again.
I mean, like most TV shows, like Step by Step with Urkel, so would have
Step by
the
Step was not
Halloween
Urkel,
episode.
but
I've combined the two, haven't I? Family Matters.
there you
Yeah.
go.
That's the Urkel show.
I guarantee you, both Family Matters and Step by Step at some point had Halloween episodes. I guarantee you.
Oh yeah.
But I was there's not a Halloween Star Wars special. That would have been something interesting. We're not celebrating Life Day.
Oh, Halloween is Grinch Night was one that would get shown on TV back in the day.
I'm not familiar with that.
I think I'm vaguely aware of that, but haven't seen it.
Oh my
But
god.
but
yeah.
the Simpsons Treehouse of Horror is an institution. I mean, those were some of the best episodes to me. I haven't seen new episodes of The Simpsons in like 8 years or more, but I have very
last
fond
year-
memories.
Last year around Halloween, I started watching because Disney Plus had the Treehouse of Horrors listed separately. I
Mhm.
started watching through them, and I got to I don't know, 17 or 18 before I lost interest.
I like the episode where the aliens come down and Lisa is very suspicious, and then the scene with the cookbook at the end, where there's just all of this space dust on the cookbook. No,
No.
Yep.
maybe that's just me.
And then they keep blowing the dust off, and it's
Yeah, yeah.
yes.
But yeah, how come Halloween doesn't get? I can't believe you guys don't know Halloween is Grinch night. Oh my god.
Why does it not get some of the number of specials that the Christmas does?
Yeah.
Well, like we said, I mean, a lot of TV shows already use that. Keep in mind, think about the TV schedule. A lot of shows are starting to renew their fall lineup and start up again in September and October, so they just kind of work it into their lineup, whereas a lot of other shows are going on hiatus around Christmas, and they're doing like their mid-season finales in the week or two prior. So more of an opportunity for, oh, we're not showing our regular show here. Watch, this like fifth version of the Grinch somehow. Didn't they make one with Doctor Strange a couple of years ago? I never saw that one. Benedict Cumberbatch. Um, but I don't know. And so maybe because you already have like feature films that Halloween is already a thing, like Hotel Transylvania, horror films, things like that. I don't know.
Yeah, Ernest Scared Stupid would air on TV around Halloween.
That is like the Ernest I've watched the most by far.
You know what I need? I need some Hungarian Miak.
Takes me
So,
back.
Halloween is Grinch night is about in Whoville. I've pulled up the Wikipedia entry just to make sure I don't screw this up. A sour sweet wind blows. And when the wind blows through the trees, it makes this noise, which causes this to happen. And there's just this like chain reaction. And it causes the Grinch to get annoyed. And he comes down into Whoville with his like wagon of evil and torments the town. And Euchariah and his father Josiah, but Euchariah is a young who is like, I have to go to the euphemism, and I've always thought that was funny because it's an outhouse that he's trying to get to. But the sour sweet wind blows him away, and he comes face to face with the Grinch, and the Grinch is like, you know what? I'm not even gonna try to scare you because you're just a little twerp. And he like wanders away, and Euchariah's like, wait, if I can stall the Grinch until the sour sweet wind goes away, then I can save the town from Grinch night this year. And so he torments the Grinch until the Grinch decides, you know what? I am gonna scare you. And then it turns into this like crazy ass acid trip, as only like 1977 animation can do. And it is so bizarre. Like, it's the surrealism is real. And I've always loved it. But apparently it's a prequel to the How the Grinch Stole Christmas, even though it came out 11 years later.
Huh.
About the right time for a prequel.
Right?
We don't know what happened next, but we know what happened to get to this point.
But yeah, and it ends like on a very creepy note where the Grinch, in a very sinister voice, says that that wind will be coming back someday. I'll be coming back someday. And I think it actually ends just after that with Euchariah and Max, the dog, running back to Whoville, because I think the dog decides screw this, and he goes with the Who.
Hmm.
But yeah, it is great. And it makes me sad that none of y'all have heard it. Listeners, if you've ever heard of Halloween is Grinch Night or seen it, then for God's sake, let me know, because it's so great. Apparently, the whole thing is on YouTube.
That's
Huh.
cool.
Wait, how long is it? Oh, it's 26 minutes. Yeah, okay, so I bet this 30-minute thing here, it's ABC Network Halloween is Grinch Night, and it's got a TV call sign, and it's on the channel the Museum of Classic Chicago Television. So I get the feeling that's going to have commercials and all. That's weird.
Hmm.
But also it was by DePatty Freeling. You know, Friz Freeling. And
Oh, okay.
David, what's his David F. DePatty? I might be saying that wrong, but it's the same people who did the Pink Panther and like the Cat in the Hat stuff. But okay, since you guys don't know that one, never mind. How about It's the Great Pumpkin? Like I always loved
I
It's the Great Pumpkin, Charlie Brown.
I liked it all right. I was never like I understood I was a kid and pumpkins was a thing. Pumpkins was a thing. Peanuts was a thing. Ever since I could read, I would always claim the comics page on Sundays, especially. But Peanuts was never really my favorite, so it's kind of like it's. I had an appreciation for it, but it was never my favorite.
You're just the worst.
I'm the worst, but what about you other guys? I'm not trying to talk over you.
I don't have much familiarity with it. I might have only seen it once ever, maybe
I
twice.
remember seeing it when I was younger, but I don't I don't recall it being one of those things where the family would be like, "Oh, we gotta watch it," or something like that.
My
Like
friends are all Philistines.
I know. Well, so our family, as a tradition for probably a good 4 or 5 years, like consistently, would watch Curious George and the Boo Fest, and that was like our thing when the kids were all younger. Is we would put that on Halloween or like the night before, and we would just have it on. We'd all sit and watch it and everything, and the kids were young enough that they thought it was the funniest thing ever, and all that. And then there was just the one year where we put it on and no one wanted to watch it. I was like, oh, well, I guess that ends it there. It was a good tradition while it lasted.
Boo.
You always want your kids to love exactly what you love.
Well, no, it
Sometimes
was
it
just one of
works,
those things
sometimes it
like
doesn't.
I was
I,
gonna say I don't think that's a thing from when we were kids, Brian.
no, that was definitely like it. I got it whenever it came out, and like I got it on uh, Amazon, and or it was no, it was on Netflix, and everything, and so we watched it, and then it was gone from Netflix the next year, so we bought it, and that's when we just every year we would put it on.
Nice.
That was a tradition we kept going for a while until I had a feeling it wasn't going to stick around because everyone would grow up and just go meh with the movie, and it happened after about 5 years. But yeah,
Hmm.
Yeah. When my brother and I got older, for several years, when we weren't going out trick or treating, um, we might if none of our friends were doing anything at their houses, we'd just sit in the living room floor and play Magic and watch Ghostbusters.
That was our
Nice.
thing for a few years.
I showed Sam the first Ghostbusters movie about a week and a half ago, and we've been very busy. And I have carved out time tomorrow to do Ghostbusters 2 because I don't think we'll have time to do it otherwise before um, Halloween. So, which I prefer the first one, but I've
I
been
mean, as
showing her some
everyone
other
does.
stuff. Yeah, but I'm trying to complete her education, and over the last couple of months, I've shown her the Back to the Future movies, and some of the other films that I grew up with, like Robin Hood, Men in no, well, Prince of Thieves, not Men in Tights, not yet. So
Did you have to explain the ghost blowjob, or did you just sort of?
I kind of distracted her during that part. I realized she's 12 now, but I was I knew that was coming up, and I was like, we had just had dinner. I'm like, hey, do you want dessert? And she's like trying to look around me, and I'm like, she's like, yes, and I'm like, well, what do you want? And she's like, well, what do we have? And I'm like, da, da, da. So I remembered that was coming up.
I think that's one of those things where I don't know. You just kind of have to. It took me
Remember,
it took me a long ass time to understand what was going on in that scene.
well, and I don't know that she would, but I was trying to avoid like.
The potential of a question of what was that about?
Yeah, basically.
uh, I
It's
love it.
like after I remember seeing Hocus Pocus in theaters and turning my mom and being like, "What's a virgin?" Because they only use that term like 12
All the
times.
time.
My mom got so mad at the movie people, just life in general. I think didn't write a letter or anything, but was like, "This is a family film," and da da da. And by the next day, I'd forgotten about it. But
The answer is someone who is pure. Oh,
you saw the Hocus Pocus 2, right? I
yeah.
like how they kind of poked fun at that a bit.
Hmm.
Like they were acknowledging, yeah,
So yeah, that was a big thing in the last one. We're gonna be like, blah blah blah, and then we never talk about it again.
um,
So
I have a separate query, but it is Halloween related, but it has nothing to do with what we're talking. It has nothing to do with films, so I'll hold it for later. Go ahead, Chewy.
okay, going back to, it's the Great Pumpkin, Charlie Brown. I just watched actually today. I think maybe yesterday. Matt Draper on YouTube made a video about it, so it's at the forefront of my mind, and that's where the "I got a rock" came from, because Charlie Brown in his really terrible ghost costume, people kept giving him rocks instead of candy. So poor buddy. But it was like a series of vignettes instead of one full story. So like you've got the trick or treating thing and Snoopy doing his World War I flying ace thing, and then you've got Linus and Sally in the pumpkin patch waiting for the Great Pumpkin to show up, and Sally getting mad when, of course, it doesn't. And yeah, it's just a nice little story, a series of stories, all Halloween related, but it's not like about Halloween really.
Mm-hmm.
And in
It's about
fact,
the kids at Halloween.
yeah, and like the Great Pumpkin and Linus thing themselves is actually like about faith, which is weird to think about, but because Linus really believes that the Great Pumpkin is going to show up and reward him for his faith in the pumpkin, but it
Even
never
if,
like pokes fun at him for that really.
yeah, even if you're not a religious person, faith is still an interesting concept because you can have faith in other people and faith in a system that may or may not be rewarded, things like that. So,
Man, I remember when I
plus,
had faith in both of those things.
plus, even going back a little bit to what Mike was talking about and how as kids, maybe we're a little more susceptible to being scared and to diving into the imagination. It's because in a very real sense, we see more things as being possible, both as an adult, just kind of knowing how this works, and especially as a parent, you try really hard to protect that in your kids because you know it won't last, and it's really
Mm.
precious while it does. I remember distinctly when Sam figured out the Santa thing, which I'm not going to tell you in case you haven't figured it out. But Sam figured it out. And there was a part of me that was honestly so proud of her because she's smart and she kind of just figured things out. And she was honestly a little young for it, I thought. And Carrie was very, very disappointed. And she tried not to make a big deal of it, but she was really hoping to get a little more time out of it because there's that thought of it's the little stuff like that, and then it's also the like, wow, the world and the internet is a very scary place with bad people in it too, and that there's that sort of innocence as well. So it both works in the positive and the negative. It's positive because all things are possible with them, and it's negative because again, they if you can imagine the great stuff, you can also imagine the negative stuff. And at a time like Halloween, if you still think all that stuff is possible, then yeah, maybe you want to sleep with the light on forever because a scary man might come into your dreams and claw your chest out.
Possibly.
I had a client once, obviously, not going to say really anything else. This is not related to her case
Okay, Brian,
exactly.
you don't need to make the disclaimer every time you bring up a client.
Thank you. Did it anyway. But she thought it wasn't a bad idea to show her 8 and 9 year olds Brightburn.
So I
Are you
haven't
guys familiar?
seen that, but the concept is
To me.
it's a kid with like Superman's powers who is evil.
Basically, yeah. And pretty sure it's I don't always adhere to the MPAA ratings or whatever. Sam's seen pretty much all the MCU by now, but it should be based on the maturity of the kids. I do think under 10, that's and then she's complaining later that you know that they're scared by it. I'm like, hmm, but whatever. Accepting expecting some parents to be responsible instead of just blaming the video games and whatnot, that's just too much to ask. So, but anyway, Halloween.
The scary Halloweeny movie that kept me up when I was younger was I unfortunately watched Killer Clowns from Outer Space.
Oh wow.
I'm not laughing at you, I'm laughing with you. I've never heard of that film before, and it
Like, it is
sounds
an
kind of
awful movie.
It's something.
it did not
It
win
is a
any
summer.
Oscars. No.
No. Um, but it was just I saw it at a like it's like 8 or 9 when I saw it.
Yeah, that's that. No,
Yeah.
Killer Clowns from Outer Space.
Yes.
I'm gonna have to Google this.
it's all with K's, killer and clown.
Yeah. It's it,
Okay.
and it's a like a B movie at best with just I guess it's an awful movie.
Uh,
Well,
But
came out
it's
in '88, so yeah.
yeah. Um
well,
but
but
like
I'm not knocking you.
yeah. But it was a scary enough movie when I was a kid that it kept me up for probably a good week or two where I would have problems going to sleep.
Oh, sure. I completely get it. It's not a Halloween film, but the first time I ever saw The Neverending Story, I was alone. I think mom and dad and everybody else were upstairs. I was watching this in the basement, and it was dark out. And the crazy wolf thing, which I have seen this film as an adult, and I'm like, but at like whatever 9 or 8 or something, probably a little older than I would have expected to have been scared of this. That thing scared the crap out of me, and it was behind every slightly opened door
Hmm.
for at night for a very long time. So I get you, because again, as kids, we're a little more prone to that sort of thing. Chewy, was there anything that scared you as a kid, or you were just like, nah?
I'm sure there was, but nothing's coming to mind. Like, I always enjoyed the darker, like, edgier, not edgier, that's the wrong word, but the darker, like, kid stuff, like Secret of Nim and
That was awesome.
stuff like that. But I don't remember anything scaring me. I bet mom would remember something scaring me,
Hmm.
but it didn't make it to my adult years.
And I wasn't even thinking about who was the director for The Secret of Nim that did other animated films. Um, because I remember All
Bluth.
Dogs Go to Don Bluth. I remember All Dogs Go to Heaven as kind of not scaring me, but definitely
Oh,
had some really evocative
Oh yeah, the nightmare
imagery in it.
sequence.
Well, the nightmare sequence, I mean, even just, they kill a dog in the first 10 minutes, which, you know, that
Hmm.
even animated as a kid, I was like, you just don't do that. Years before John Wick came around, this was real bad. So, and then yeah, and then the nightmare sequence, and again, that very evocative imagery that his films were not afraid to play around with.
Since it's already come up, there was a scene in a shot in How the Grinch Stole Christmas that freaked me out when I was a little kid. You know, when the Grinch has an idea, an awful idea, a
And his
wonderful
mouth just
awful
kind of like,
idea. Yeah, that
yeah,
face he makes. Oh God, that was so scary.
that's the face that haunts you.
Yeah.
I mean, I get where you're coming from.
Hmm. I have texted mom to ask, so hopefully at some point she'll get back to me.
I mean, let me ask you, how long have you been afraid of spiders? Your whole life?
Uh, yeah, I don't remember an inciting incident. Although the
Not
Hobbit
like
cartoon might have had something to do with that.
maybe. You guys know I don't like bees. Well, when I was a kid, I was hanging out in the basement. I was kind of hiding around the corner from my dad, and a yellow jacket, which, unlike bees, can sting you multiple times, flew up my shirt and stung me a lot. I don't know that I was ever nervous around them before, but for years, if I heard a buzzing insect, I would break out into a cold sweat. Even now, still, like if I'm aware of one, there we were at Lexington for the barbecue festival last weekend, and there were a couple of bees, and I was actually okay. But like if I get stung and then later I need to go out and spray around where they were, I'm like moving forward an inch every 2 minutes just to be safe. And that's me now. But as a kid, yeah. So sometimes you have that inciting incident, sometimes you don't. You mentioned the Hobbit movie or the Lord of the Rings.
Well, no, the animated Hobbit cartoon had giant spiders. So mom did remind me that E.T. the movie scared me when I was a kid.
Mm.
Not E.T. because E.T. was adorable, but that part toward the end when all of the dudes in the
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 suits.
suits,
Yeah.
the I call them space
The
suits, but
hazmat.
the
Yeah.
hazmat suits. There we go. Came in to
Yeah.
get him. That scared the crap out of me when I was a kid. And she said the Disney Halloween treat, which is another thing that doesn't exist anymore unless you've got it on VHS.
Hmm.
Some part of the Disney Halloween tree scared me, she said. And she said maybe the dancing skeletons. Or she said especially the dancing skeletons. Huh.
Hmm.
I do
I
remember, now that she brings it up, the Fantasia part of the Night on Bald Mountain part of the Disney Halloween treat scared the crap out of me when I was little.
Oh. Hmm.
Oh, did you ever see the Disney animated Legend of Sleepy Hollow?
Yeah, yeah. Part of that was
That I
on,
think
was part of the Disney Halloween treat. But yeah, the
that
bit
I
where he's
think
going through the woods, yeah, that was creepy as hell. But
and
I don't
and
think
and
that
and
bothered me.
I think, well, even the part where, again, like a little bit of the suspense. There's the part where the crawdads, the little reedy grass is like thrumming, and I could feel like the tension in me rising, and I was like, ah, more so than even like the horseman himself. So suspense.
Yeah, but when
Totally
I
forgot
say
about that special. Mm.
when I say the Night on Bald Mountain part, it's when it's from Fantasia. So Disney's Halloween treat was a thing. It had multiple versions because the one I grew up with and the one Lex grew up with were not the same. Like mine had a like talking pumpkin puppet as the host, and hers was something else. I think it was the Magic Mirror was the one that was the host on hers. Maybe I can't remember now because it's not the one I grew up with. She had it on VHS or something, and we watched it one year, and I was like, huh. But yeah, it's the part from Night on Bald Mountain in Fantasia when all of the spirits and whatnot are coming up out of the graves
Uh-huh.
and heading towards Bald Mountain. Like I didn't have any bald, like I hadn't seen Fantasia at that point. I didn't have any context for what was going on. That part, because of the way that it's shot, and like it doesn't look like cartoons, it looks very very spooky. That
Yeah,
part scared me out of my wits.
there's a certain photorealism to that scene that I know you're talking about.
Yeah, but then at the end when they're all going back, they're very cartoony. But that wasn't in the Halloween treat. It was literally just the bit where they're going up, and it's very spooky. And then I think it ended when they got up to the top and Chernobog did a thing. Like I can see it, but I can't remember what he did. And then it just faded to darkness. And then the next thing came up where the pumpkin came back and was like, "Wasn't that spooky?" And I was like, "Yes, yes, it was." Like,
Please, Mr. Pumpkin, I'll be a good boy.
oh,
I'm just
thanks,
kind of
mom.
picturing your mom like, Chewy, did you pick up your room, or do we need to watch, do we need to watch Bald Mountain again?
And the guy, whoever they got to voice that pumpkin, had like the best Halloween host voice. Like it was very deep and monotone and spooky. Well,
Did you guys ever watch Tales from the Crypt?
Nope.
no.
Mm-mm.
Well, that I only saw a couple episodes, but there was one. It struck me as very like less scary and more like Twilight Zone. Like, oh, things are not the way they would seem. Because there was an episode that I remember where um, a doctor is kind of tricked into thinking that by some of his colleagues that he has died, and he kind of goes through the thought process of, you start losing, apparently when you die, the thought was you start losing your senses one at a time, and everyone thinks you're already dead, but this is what a person goes through, and like the first one to go is the sense of touch. And it turns out it's his colleagues just playing a prank on him. He was basically like, he was drugged up and was made to think, oh, you're dead or whatever. And then at the end of it, he actually suffers a heart attack and dies. And then after he dies, he realizes, oh, it's true. I do see what they're doing to my body, but touch isn't the first sense to go, it's the last. And he feels it as they're starting to like do his autopsy, and kind of less scary and more like, just kind of like, ooh, kind of weird, There's a gremlin on the plane kind of thing. But I remember the Crypt Keeper being very kind of iconic. Dang, the stuff we're talking about, I haven't thought about in ages.
Yeah,
Taking
and
it
the
back.
Crypt Keeper had the best laugh.
Oh, yeah.
And I didn't realize it at the time, but he was also really stupid. Like he was goofy.
He had
Like
a lot of
as
dad jokes.
yeah, like as the host of the show, he was there for like the comedy relief. But having not watched it at the time, I always thought he was just kind of creepy. But no, it turns out he's a big idiot, and that's why you like him.
Yeah. He's not there to get to make things creepier. He's there to bring down the tension a bit.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So we completely forgot. I completely forgot to steer us in this direction. We haven't talked about candy at all.
I was
Oh,
not going to leave until candy was mentioned. If it was going to be my final thought, it was going to be candy.
Like, was that
And
your
you
other
remember,
thing that you were going to bring up earlier?
you got it. You got it. When I
Okay,
said it
good.
wasn't the same thing, that was it.
All right. So
So,
worst Halloween candy other than candy corn because that's disgusting.
Circus
I like candy corn.
You're a
I can do it in
monster.
I can do it in small. I used to eat it by the truckload. I can do it in small doses now. I told myself forever that I liked um is it bit o' honey, or there's some candy that is just super hard, takes forever to dissolve in your mouth, like Laffy Taffy but on steroids. And I told myself forever I liked it, and at some point I'm like, this doesn't even taste this
Okay,
good.
wait. The little. This is a thing that this is my hot take because nobody likes these, but they're the peanut buttery things that are in the yellow and black wrappers. Is that what you're
yeah, and
talking about?
just in the plain looking wax paper. What are those called?
Yeah, and there's yellow and black ones. I loved that stuff. I probably wouldn't anymore because I would probably lose a tooth trying to
I
get
think
through
that
them.
I
But
think
when
that
I
might
was
be
young
it.
and had strong teeth, man,
I think it's the opposite for me. When I was a kid, I was like, "What even is this?" But as I got older, I was like, "Hey, this is pretty good."
and bit of honey, I always did enjoy those too.
Yeah.
My favorite is still to this day Tootsie Rolls. In fact, I bought one of those big, not real big, but I bought one of those bags of like Tootsie Roll variant stuff, and I got a bad bag. Like you know the little flavored ones.
Hmm.
I got four in the entire bag. It was two oranges, a lime, and a cherry. I didn't even get vanilla, which is my favorite. And I had a whole mess of Tootsie Pops in that bag. Not a one of them was chocolate, which is my favorite Tootsie Pop flavor. And I had like
Wow.
extra boxes of dots, and dots are gross. So
Remind
I
me
just got a bad bag.
Remind me to give you all of my Tootsie Rolls because they are, I kid you not, probably my least favorite candy.
Wow, you are a monster.
Yeah, I don't like cranberry sauce. I just, you and I, it's amazing we're still friends, but um
Hang on, I gotta kick Brian from the call for real this time. Who knew Halloween was so divisive?
yeah, chocolate candy was okay now. If we're talking about as a kid versus now, like Snickers, straight up Snickers is what I want. Just give me the Snickers. As a kid, I convinced myself I didn't like peanuts. I could do peanut butter, but I only wanted the creamy because I didn't want crunchy. Somewhere in the process of growing up, I realized, ooh, peanuts, these are good. Why am I not? I'm still not a big nut fan. I think I just kind of lumped them in. So, you know what candy bar I liked as a kid that I cannot eat now? Three Musketeers. Because Three Musketeers to me just feel empty. It's like they're missing, I don't know, peanuts and caramel.
I was just about to say that was one of the ones I really liked, the Three Musketeers, because of the
Oh,
taste and the texture of it. It was so soft and
That nougat is
fluffy
I,
and
delicious
yummy.
stuff.
I liked it as a kid, and now having had Snickers and even a like a Milky Way, I'll take two or three Musketeers. But I don't know now I can't do it now.
There was one. there's one guy in our neighborhood. I think he still lives there. Uh, who would go all out, not with like decorations, but he would give out full-sized candy bars.
Oh, everybody loves that guy. The guy with the
I know.
king size bars.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Marvin
Yeah.
was great. He loved it. He loved
Big
seeing
timing everyone else in the neighborhood.
Uh-huh.
And every kid knew. Every
Yep,
kid
we
knew,
knew.
Yup.
right? Yeah. You stay away from Miss Berkowitz because she's got the gross stuff, and her house smells like cats or something. But you go to, was it Melvin? You go to Melvin, Marvin. I was close, because he'll hook you up.
Yes, it's great.
Kids know these things. They pay attention.
And there was always
My-
that one house who wanted to give you like a little box of raisins.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Yep.
I would get one or two of those.
Which I mean, I've always loved raisins, so that
Oh, yeah.
doesn't
Oh,
bother
raisins.
me. But that's not how it stop.
Well, I had a dentist on my route. Everybody got a piece of candy and floss.
Yeah.
Yep.
You too?
I think there was one of those in the neighborhood. I didn't stop to
think
look
if it-
at what I was getting, as the whatever it was dropped into my bucket. So I don't know if I was only getting floss or floss and something else. But yeah.
So let me ask you guys real quick, and we can get back to candy, but just on the issue of trick or treating. My daughter is now 12. She has her baking costume. We are good with this. How old is too old for trick or treating?
No.
I think once you're getting
What,
into the
30?
teen years,
College.
college says Dirk. I was thinking, maybe teens, and maybe young teen you're still good, but you still got to dress up.
Yeah.
I
Yeah,
don't.
that's what I was about to say.
Yeah, I have all the years that I've lived in this apartment, I've only done the trick or treating thing once. And all I got was teenagers, like older teenagers who didn't even bother to dress up. They were just like going door to door to get candy. And I was like, really, y'all?
I have yet to turn anybody away, but when I get some of those, I'm just like you said, really, just like, come on,
Or at least when I open the door, say something like, my costume is a functional human being or something. Like, don't just
Something.
stand there and look at me like, give me candy. Like, what? No.
What was that thing when you would like just pull your shirt collar up over your head? It's like, I'm the crazy no neck and chin man. Give me some candy.
Give me some candy. Is that Adam Sandler? I feel like that was Adam Sandler.
I don't know. I've only heard you say it, so I don't know.
Oh.
where it comes
That's 100% Chewy.
That's me.
But anyway, so I didn't know if you guys had any thoughts on that, and just looking for more perspective.
I mean, as
But-
long as the kid is enjoying it, screw it, Hell, I'd
Yeah,
go
if you're
trick or treating
having fun.
now if I could get away with it. Because then I
But-
could get a bunch of candy and not have to buy it. What? I know I'm an adult. I could just buy candy. I did. I bought a bag of Tootsie Roll that was a bad bag. But like,
Now, the sad thing for us is we get so much candy that she can't eat it all. We're just not, as a family, we just don't snack a whole lot. We tend to stick to the meals. And just the way that our scheduling kind of works. So, unfortunately, a lot of the candy, if I'm being completely honest, doesn't get eaten. And we'll try to use it for like gingerbread houses and stuff because you want stuff to put on the side. But I don't like feeling wasteful with food either, even if it's barely considered food. But
okay, just for the record, if there's any candy that you're like, oh, we should throw this out, then let me know.
I'll let you know.
And I will come eat your child's candy.
I mean, when you put it that way, but okay. I promise I will throw it at you first.
And every once in a while, like my neighborhood, like our friend down the road, Nancy, when I was growing up, who sadly isn't with us anymore, but she would always try to make something homemade. Like most years it was popcorn balls. You know, popcorn that was glued together with caramel or something. And like her stuff
yeah,
was
there
always
was someone in our neighborhood who would do like put a like a popcorn ball in like a cheap plastic glove, and there'd be like candy corn at the end of the fingertips for fingernails and like something else in the fingers.
That's weird. It's neat though.
I remember having the caramel popcorn balls, and I feel like at least it used to be a little more acceptable to like go to house and actually get like homemade treats. Like there's one house that actually made like the caramel apples by hand. Now
Yeah.
I feel like
Yeah, we had that a few
because of
years.
because of scares of razor blades or whatever, it's all got to be store bought and in wrappers and that sort of stuff.
And it's funny because you know how many instances of that there are in this country? It's
Very
literally
little,
zero.
No,
but
like I think
but
the
all
only like reliably recorded instances of that happening is like a parent doing something to their own kids' candy.
Jeez.
Yeah.
But
Like it's
all it
not a
takes
thing.
is-
It's like the people these days there's always got to be some sort of idiot scare. Like these days they're going to be handing out rainbow fentanyl to your kids. Why? If you're
I
handing it out
saw-
to kids,
It's
then,
like no.
then you're
That's
not
what costs
it's
money.
not making you money.
Yeah.
yeah.
That's like they're going to be putting $100 bills in your kids Halloween candy. All right? It's like no they're not.
No,
Yeah,
all
it's
it
gotta be
takes is-
dangerous. It's got to be dangerous. They're putting $100 bills full of cocaine in your kids.
Ooh, there we go.
all it takes is one person saying something really scary and it gets spread. I mean, this is the world we live in. One person says, "Oh, vaccines will make your kid have autism," and all of a sudden everybody's like, "Oh no, I don't like that." That's the same sort of thing. Is one person says, "My kid's apple had a razor in it," and do you want your kids to get apples? No, this must be an epidemic of something. So, and nobody wants to be that parent that doesn't check and then their kid gets hurt. So, that's how it spreads.
Yeah, but they're not going to get hurt cuz that's never happened.
No, but
But there's
these
always
days,
there's always got like when we were kids it was the razor blades in candy, which no. And it never changes. There's always
Never.
something. Like
yeah,
there for a few years it might still be a thing. Trick or treating became a thing that people didn't do. Instead, we were having trunk or treating at the church. And I'm like, that's you're taking Halloween. This is okay, let me rant for a minute. You're taking Halloween, which is already about like a safe version of scary, and you're completely deleting the scary parts. And now it's a safe version of safe? What? And I know I'm going to get the, well, you don't have kids, so you don't understand. But I was a kid, and I would have thought that was stupid.
well, you're not wrong. Parents or not, you're not wrong. But it's from people that just want to, as much as I don't ever want something bad to happen to Sam. She doesn't live in a bubble, and she shouldn't live in a bubble. But there are some people that's what they want for their kid, is just let's not expose them to anything.
And like nothing against the parents themselves. It's more about the people who organize these things so that that's what people are going to be doing instead of the door-to-door thing.
Yeah.
Like
Now we do both.
like we
So-
knew the couple houses that had sketchy people what lived there. So we just didn't go to those houses. Like that it's just, if they're hey, their lights on, how come no one's going there? We just don't go to that one. Oh, okay. Like yeah, I don't know. It just bothers me. We're like, "Oh yeah, we're doing trunk or treating this year instead." What is that? It's where we all go to the parking lot at the church and get candy from people's trunks. I'm like, that's lame.
And when you say it like that, it sounds borderline creepy.
Don't.
Hey, what's in your trunk? No, we do both. And if anything, it's kind of a neat. It's I will say this. I like decorating for Chris. Geez, pick a holiday, Brian, for Halloween. But it's a little easier and a little more compact to do a trunk. So it's a little easier to be like, okay, set this up, and I'm good. So we don't do it as an or, we do it as an and. But I get where you're coming from. Is it was definitely advertised and set up as a replacement.
Yeah.
Don't ever. I may have more candy than I need, but don't ever like underestimate my greed for candy. Come on, Snickers.
Yay, Snickers. Like, yeah, going back to what's good candy. Like, I always enjoyed the actual candy bars, you know, even though they were tiny. And the weird, sticky, hard things like the peanut butter things and the bit of honey. And the tiny little boxes of nerds. Oh my god.
Yep, I ate several of those. I would try to eat the purple ones first if I could, but I know they all taste similar, the same. Um, Twizzlers. Twizzlers are good, although whatever devil created black licorice can just go right back to hell.
Well, I'll see him there.
Tell him you like what he's doing and you
Yeah.
can have mine.
There were those little individually wrapped Twizzlers, weren't there?
Mhm.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Wow, I'd forgotten about those. I was like, who's giving out Twizzlers? Oh, yeah.
Yep.
Man. I'm trying to think of other weird stuff. Like, there's
Did you ever
always
have-
at least a couple of rolls of Smarties, which I don't even know where you get Smarties these days. Like, is that even a thing? Now, for those of you that might be in the
No.
UK, not the chocolate thing, these are little hard candy chocolate, not chocolate, hard candy chalky things that I still love, but I don't know if they're even a thing anymore.
Are they like Mentos?
No, the
I
Mentos
feel
are
like
chewy.
I remember getting lots of lifesavers,
Yeah.
That's weird.
and then they came out with lifesavers gummies, and that pretty much just replaced the original in my mind. I'm generally not one for a candy that I just suck on for a long time.
Did you guys ever get the people who would make like a little tiny like grab bag of nonsense?
I think
Like
so.
it was like a little orange piece of fabric that they would put stuff in and fold it up and like tie it shut. And inside
like,
was always
little-
like a couple pieces of candy and like a plastic spider ring, and
Yeah,
some other useless nonsense. I'm like,
yeah.
why don't y'all just give us more candy?
Because this takes longer, and you'll appreciate it more, or something. Maybe sometimes like the little temporary tattoos. Maybe.
Yeah, yeah.
Yeah.
Oh, or a little like plastic spider ring.
Yeah, that literally just said plastic spider ring. Good job.
He did.
Crap. Sorry.
It's all right.
I'm trying to listen.
Are you though?
Or temporary tattoos. Yeah.
Who knew
No,
that
but I know
Halloween
what
was
you-
so divisive?
Apparently, this is it. Final episode of the Maniple. This is what kills us. Can't be friends with you anymore because you like bit of frickin' honey. Except not frickin'.
Oh man, I bet Bit O' Frickin' Honey has razor blades in it.
Probably. That's why you can't find anymore. You know my hands down, my favorite candy. Well, I actually really like candy, but if I had to pick a candy, there's a candy, and it probably still exists. I just can't really find it anymore, and it was called Take Five, because it was like five different things. It was like chocolate
Oh
and
yeah.
peanut butter and pretzels, and they probably still exist somewhere, but I just haven't really found them in a long time.
Let's see. Take 5. Nope, has been discontinued. Boo. Oh, it was
It's
a
too good
Reese's
for this
thing.
world.
Let's see. A sweet and salty candy bar with pretzels, peanuts, peanut butter, and caramel coated in milk chocolate. God, yeah, that was
Yeah,
amazing.
it was great. It was my go-to.
Boo. Screw you, capitalism. I really wish that I could think. I know that there was a bunch of other random nonsense that you literally only saw at Halloween. Oh, the tiny little rectangular packs of sweet tarts that had 2 in them.
Yeah,
I always liked those.
Oh, yeah, that's right.
Ow.
do you guys like caramel apples?
No. I don't know why. I
I
like
do.
caramel? I'm sorry, caramel apples. Yes, it's candied apples I don't like.
I can see you there.
Cuz
I can
those
eat a candied apple, but I much prefer caramel
yeah, I just can't get my teeth into those damn things. Even when I was a kid, I couldn't.
because they break teeth on them like rock, like ships on a shore.
Right? Hmm. Wow, it is.
Never had a thing for jawbreakers either. But again, I think the common denominator is something that I can't just chew and swallow.
Yeah. So Brian doesn't suck, it turns out.
No, I know exactly where you're going with this.
Whereas I love something I can just pop in my mouth and leave there. Like Tootsie Pops, dude, Tootsie Pops are amazing because I just put it in my mouth and leave it there. And then later, eventually, I crunch into it and I get some Tootsie Roll at the end. And that was glorious. I always hated Bubble
Chewy,
Pops.
Chewy watches the commercial and he's like, "The owl's doing it all wrong." Come on.
Yeah, you gotta spend at least like 5 or 10 minutes with it in your mouth and forget that it's there, and then go to say something and you go, oh, sorry.
Well,
You know, Michael Bay directed that commercial.
Huh.
okay, you are have got to be kidding me.
No,
I'm
I can
with
believe
you on the
that.
William Shatner mask.
I can
Those
believe
two
that.
people with the same last name being related, okay, but Michael Bay directing the Got Milk commercial.
hang on, am I remembering that right? Yeah, it is Michael Bay. Okay, that's what I thought.
That man displayed more depth of character. I love Armageddon. It's a fun popcorn flick, but I got more emotional response out of that man and his peanut butter
Oh
than
no.
oh dang.
Uh,
You are blowing my mind tonight.
I am full of random nonsense because I spend way too much time watching informational things on YouTube.
It is late. I probably need to go. But you know what? Stepping back from candy for just 1 second. We made it through the whole section on Halloween specials and never mentioned The Nightmare Before Christmas. What the
Because
Huh.
heck?
that's a
Yeah, well,
mostly a
that's like
Christmas
a
movie.
movie. Yeah.
It's it's both, isn't it? I mean, I think I even asked that question at some point. Is it a Christmas movie or a Halloween movie? And the answer was yes.
Yeah. But it's about Christmas, so my brain puts it in a Christmas movie place. But
But
it is.
nearly all the characters are deeply associated with Halloween.
It's true. Yeah. As a matter of fact, Amanda and the kid are going as Jack and Sally. Well, I
That's
guess
neat.
Sally and Jack, if we're gonna put it uh, in the right order this year, which
Put it
should
in the
be
right
adorable.
order. You don't ever say Donald Sora Goofy. Jeez, somebody's brain will snap.
Well, I meant because Amanda and the kid. Amanda's going to be Sally, and the kid's going to be Jack. So
Ah,
not Jack and Diane, because that's a little ditty about two kids growing up in the heartland.
Heartland. Yeah.
And then you need two drumsticks to slam together and make that crash sound.
Life goes on
Yeah.
long after the thrill of living is gone.
All right. Well, I hope that everyone has enjoyed
It's
us.
thrill. I always heard the word threat. Gosh, that makes more sense.
What? What?
Oh my god. That changes that song immensely.
After the threat of living is gone.
That's what I heard.
No, not making fun of you. That song, Wrecking Ball, I really could have sworn for months she was saying rainbow. I came in like a rainbow, and I'm like, cool, I don't get what's happening here, but I'm came in like a rain, demonetized. But,
And then you saw the music video and you're like, I don't get it.
no, somebody just basically told me I was saying it wrong, and I was like, oh, okay. But no, I never heard that before. I think that might just be you, Mike. Maybe. Send us an email.
Yeah, let us know if the threat of living has gone for you. I can't say anything. I have misunderstood many song lyrics.
That was always an interesting song because it's basically saying like the best parts of life are end after high school, and for many people, high school is not. For some people, yeah, that's as good as it gets. For a lot of people, they're like just waiting to get through. But anyway, so that's not Halloween. Although the threat of living feels very appropriate.
Feels Halloweeny, yeah.
Yeah, I think we're good, right? I mean,
Yeah,
not gonna top that.
I hope you enjoyed our random musings about Halloween. It is absolutely my favorite time of year. Both like temperature wise, like time of year in general, and holiday specifically for me. So, yeah.
Yeah.
And if you're not doing anything on Halloween, because I'm gonna make sure I get this posted before Halloween. On Halloween, I'm gonna be streaming a very scary game, so you should come hang out and watch me poop. Which is when I mentioned in the Discord that's what I was gonna be doing on Halloween. Star messaged me directly and was like, oh, but I don't get off work until this time, your time. And I'm like, I won't start for like an hour after that. And she's like, awesome. I get to watch you poop your pants on stream. And I'm like, thanks.
Your idea.
It was. I'll be sure to have a fresh pair of underwear nearby. So, dorks, how about some final thoughts then? And we will go.
Final thoughts. Life is okay. Things are really crazy at work right now. So this is honestly a very welcome diversion. Vampires still rule.
Ooh. I have to highly recommend Vampires versus the Bronx on Netflix. It is very kid friendly.
Okay.
And I enjoyed
Vampires
it.
versus the Bronx.
Yeah, it was very cute.
My final thought. My favorite candy is Reese's. So whenever I get those, I always would go after them.
We really were talking over, like, not letting Dirk talk a lot, weren't we, for like the last hour? Sorry, man.
Dirk should know to just jump in when we're just freeforming like that.
I tried, but every time I tried, everyone overruled me. So I was like, okay, fine.
I apologize. We're all like, we're done talking now, and Dirk is like, I had something to say.
Let me catch up on all the conversation that I missed.
Reese's is pretty awesome.
Yes.
Do you prefer cups? Do you prefer cups or the little bites?
Although the peanut butter M&Ms were always an easy one for me as well.
Reese's Pieces, for God's sake.
No. Those were never filling to me. Those were always felt like a cheap knockoff. Even though they preceded peanut butter M&Ms, it always felt like it was more chocolate than it was peanut butter. So no. That's a hard no.
Dang.
monster. Yeah, this is
Dirk
the last episode of the
smacked
Mana
you
Pool.
down.
This is absolutely the last episode of the Mana Pool. Because I'm not friends with
Dirk
any
is
of these
gone.
people.
Magic didn't kill it. Like $1,000 booster packs didn't kill it. You know, COVID didn't kill it. But one
Halloween
Halloween
on
episode.
Reese Pieces.
Halloween
killed
killed it.
So,
First you bit of honey.
but yeah, in the personal world, I am very much looking forward to tomorrow, because once school is over tomorrow, I get a 3-day weekend, and one of those Monday is a teacher work day, and it gives me a chance to actually hopefully plan out the rest of the semester and figure out, like, nail down what I'm going to be doing, and trying to incorporate some labs with my chemistry class, because I've had a couple of labs, but they've all been digital labs, not hands-on labs. And so I'm going to try and see if I can scrounge up some hands-on labs to do with the kiddos.
Yeah.
So they're not.
Blow stuff up.
Yeah, the digital ones are good for. I can't explain how phase changes work without drawing pictures and being like, okay, so imagine when I can actually put them in an interactive lab and say, all right, what happens as heat is added? Well, they start doing that. Yeah, that's right. That's what happens. So that works, but I want to do some hands-on stuff where they actually have to make predictions and stuff like that. So that's my goal to do on Monday, and try and get my grades in and be productive and all that good stuff.
And blow stuff up.
That's the goal.
Yeah.
And that's it for me.
Mike?
Let's see. Yeah, going back to the fun of Halloween, like, that's a and it being a big draw for people. Like my mom is a very straight-laced person, very wholesome. Doesn't care for dark stuff or scary stuff or whatever, but she loves Halloween because she loves the fun of Halloween. She loves seeing little kids in their costumes and going around giving out candy, and she loves decorations, and she likes decorating too. I sent the guys a picture in the Discord chat of what she's put up on the door to the house. Just a bunch of little, cling sticker. What do you call those things?
I don't
Just
actually
like
know.
Window stickers.
yeah, just
Like-
window stickers. Of like cartoony pumpkins and ghosts and black cats and witches and spiders and bats and everything, and it's just the most adorable thing, and it's great. Like every couple years she gets another sheet of these things, and I see more things that I hadn't seen before show up in the window, like all those little calaveras, is that what you call them, and other Day of the Dead type decorations. Those are new for this year. I don't remember seeing those before. But they're super cute, and it's always fun to see Mom put up her decorations in the window when Halloween comes around.
Nice. Is that why the guy from Grim Fandango's name is Manny Calaveras?
Yes.
Because Calavera is a skull. Yeah.
Yeah, it's a little sugar skull, or clay. I think it can also refer to a decorative clay skull. But yeah.
I did not know that's why he was named that, because I didn't know that was the word for that. Cool. Look, now Mike is blowing my mind. I'm trying to think if I have any other random factoids I could throw out for Brian before the end of the show, but nothing's coming to mind. Other than there was literally no blood in the first Halloween movie.
Mind is still sufficiently blown. I'm good.
The Grinch was voiced by Boris Karloff.
In the Christmas one, yeah. No, he was the... wasn't he the narrator?
Wasn't he both?
Oh, was he? How the... No, not the crappy... Oh my god, not the stupid Jim Carrey one. Why can't I can't find anything on the new one? 1966. There we go. Narrator was Boris Karloff, who was... Hang on. It's killing me. Cast.
Hopefully.
Yes?
I thought he did both.
It's possible. This freaking... IMDb has become borderline unusable.
Oh, I usually
Yeah.
use Wikipedia for stuff like that.
Oh, he was the narrator and the Grinch. Look at that. I don't think I knew that. Did you know that the Cindy Lou Who was June Foray?
Probably not.
She was uncredited, so yeah, probably not. Anyway.
How many people were uncredited? Wasn't the singer uncredited too?
I don't know. I closed it already. The voice of Max was uncredited, and the singer was uncredited, and June Foray was uncredited. Yeah. In fact, it's those three and Boris Karloff are the ones listed under cast. So
Weird.
anyway, so is that it for you, Mike?
Yeah.
Oh,
Wait,
yeah.
I can't speak for Mike.
Yes, it is.
I would say there was just a pause there while Mike was waiting on me, I guess. So real quick, as always, themanapool.com/Patreon. Of course, youtube.com/themanapool. There's the deep end, which I swear I'm working on the Zelda cartoon video. I just don't know the shape of it yet. This is a problem for why that video hadn't happened in the intervening months. It's because I don't know how to start it and then how to do it. And yeah, so I'm working on all that. But Patreon, we have to give the Mythic Lifeguards a shout out. So let's do it in, I don't know, this order. So thank you to Andrew Odie, ALK Alters, Connor Kennedy, Mr. Dr. Lewis, Jason Doan, Pinball Witch, Casey, Cody Buckowing, Andrew Hunt, Jason Kaus, The Beast Father, Aaron Goodwine, excuse me, Violet Moon, Team Uhillas Haru, Beardy Man, Jake Jansen, John Parker, Scuzzo, Kim Ho, and Al. And yeah, I guess that'll be it for this episode of The Mana Pool. Hope you enjoyed our random musings about Halloween, and I hope all of you have a happy and safe Halloween. Watch out for those rainbow fentanyl razor blades. Yeah. So thank you all so very much for joining us, and give me some candy.